Back, Gordon Haywood, first 30-point game since April of 2017. Also flirted with a triple-double. Impressive performance, Griff. Oh, welcome, Dave.
Hey, here he is.
Good to see you here, my friend.
I think this is exactly what Boston would have wanted to happen. If they could have dictated an outcome in tonight's game, it's let's have to fight for it in the fourth quarter, and let's have Gordon Hayward be the reason we overcome. They obviously a fourth quarter of runs. Minnesota starts the first 2 minutes on a 10-0 run. Boston answers with a 12-3 run of their own midway through the quarter after Kyrie checked in for Tatum. And Gordon's so steady throughout the quarter. He's found himself.
Well, he found himself this game, and that was good to see because he had been struggling to try to figure out what his identity and what his role was on this team. And his role is just to simply be a basketball player. Let the ball come to you. Don't worry about living up to the contract or trying to force the action and be Utah Gordon Hayward here in Boston. That won't fit. When the ball comes your way, be effective, run the court, do all the little things, and good things will happen. He did that tonight. You didn't see him force a lot of shots. This was 30 points on a lot of good open shots. The ball actually moved tonight. I'm not sure how many assists Boston finished with, but in the first half they had 16 assists. That's really good for this team because normally they like to hold the ball.
No, it's a great point. 30. They had 30 assists tonight in the game. And Gordon was the first one to volunteer, hey, listen, I'll come off the bench. It's the Butler way. It's the Brad Stevens way. He's the embodiment of everything about the way Boston wants to play and the way they want to think. So for him to find himself in this role and not have to force it, as you pointed out, it's the best possible outcome for Boston.
It's also the I've already got my money way. when you already got your bag, you can be like, I'll come off the bench, coach. When you're trying to get your money, but listen here, man, I need to start and I need to get a certain amount of shots. Brad, you can miss me with that. But when you got your money, you can act like that. And I'm glad that he's been a good veteran with his money and sacrificing for the other
I like
guys.
my story a lot better.
Yeah, I think both are good.
Yeah, they're both good. I'm just going to tell you the real how like guys are willing to sacrifice when they get their money. That's true.
But in the fourth quarter, he was huge, and he made some big buckets when the team needed it most. And we know Kevin McHale said it best, right? It's not who starts, it's who finishes the games. And Gordon Hayward wearing that Celtics uniform, really bringing that true to life.
It really is true, and you hear it all the time. But it's not about who starts. There's some guys in this league that get senior day starts. They start in the first and the third. They don't really play that much. It's about who plays when and where. Are you playing late in the games, and are your minutes impactful? Do you have impactful minutes? Gordon Hayward tonight, he had a big 30, but everything he did was impactful. The way he ran the court, spotted up, moved the ball. He's finally starting to get healthy, finally starting to get comfortable, and he had a healthy night tonight.
Marcus Smart is another example of a guy who's always sacrificed, even before he got paid. Marcus Smart got paid because he's a sacrificing guy. That's what he does. It's his piece. And since he moved into the starting lineup, it's made all of the pieces in this lineup fit radically better. And again, totally agree with you. Guys that have star quality are far more likely to play a role once they get paid. Boston is overladen with guys that are team first, and that's why you know it's just a matter of time before they really find their stride.
Celtics also have won 4 of their last 5. And a week ago, it was like, oh, what's wrong with the Celtics? What's happening with them? Seems like the narrative is changing quickly.
Well, that's the NBA. That's why I always say you never want to crush a team that's starting out slow or jump on the new big thing that starts out very hot. It's a long NBA season. 82 games, Griff will tell you, is a very long season. So you have to ride the wave. You never want to get too up, too down. Because teams are going to have stretches where they lose 4 and 5 nights, and teams are going to have stretches where they win 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. So you just have to see how is this team progressing, and more importantly, even sometimes in losses, how did they play? Because there is such thing as a good loss where you move the ball, you played well, the other team was just hot. I look for how teams are playing and if they're starting to improve.
Well, hopefully you ride the wave with us. Chris Miles, Brendan Haywood, David Griffin here with you. We're just getting started on Game Time, presented by Kia. A lot of highlights to get to, including some teams had some tough games in the association.
We got our Horford highlights?
The official card of the NBA.
Robert Covington, 2 for 4 from outside for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they are down 57-48 at the break. 3-and-D, that's what Robert Covington is known for. Chris Miles here with Vinny Del Negro and Brendan Haywood. So far, so good for Boston, it is, knocking down the outside shot. 10 for 23 from long range in the first half.
Well, you can see Boston has the ability. They want to get up threes. They make them, they take them. Obviously, Gordon Hayward having a nice first half without question. the balance with Kyrie and Haywood in the first half was key. The way they shot the 3-9 for 22. Nice job by them. They kind of pulled away. They didn't finish the half off the right way, but overall, obviously very aggressive and productive from them.
Yeah, certainly 26 points between Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving. Derrick Rose, on the other hand, from Minnesota, carrying that scoring load.
Well, Derrick Rose, he's been having a great year. We talked about that before the game, and he's continued it this game. 5 of 7, 12 points, very efficient, but he's just taking what's there. Look at this. Right here, you see some of that good old Derrick Rose explosion. Nice move, gets to his runner. Taking his time again. Nice behind the back. Where you at? Nice move. Finishes right at the basket. He's still finishing very strong. He's hesitating. He's waiting. He's putting pressure on the defense. He just looked like he's constantly in control, and this is my favorite play of the half. Oh, crossover, there's nothing over there. Finishes with the left hand. D. Rose has really gotten back into looking like his old self. That is what he used to do at a high rate, shoot that mid-range jumper. He's added the three-point shot. People have to guard him now. They have to come up and get closer to him. He has the explosion back. He's finally healthy. And you can see the moves, the change of direction, the burst. He doesn't quite get as high above the rim as he used to, but his lateral quickness is still elite.
He has his bounce back. That's the bottom line. And you can tell he's having fun. He feels like he has his legs under him a little bit. And when he does that, he's spectacular.
Brad Stevens in that defense. Look, Derrick Rose, the only Minnesota Timberwolves player with double figures in the first half. We see the starters having an issue finding shots from Minnesota. How much credit do we have to give Brad Stevens for that?
Well, I think you have to give the Celtics overall credit. I mean, I thought they were aggressive. They played well. They didn't finish the half out the right way with some turnovers and some bad execution. But at the end of the day, they're still winning at halftime. They have to feel good the way they're playing. They held Minnesota to 48 points at the half. Have to expect Towns to get going here in the second half if they expect to win the game.
Yeah, Towns really slowed down his production. He hit a 3 early in the game. Then we didn't hear from him for a while, Brendan.
Yeah, Towns, there was a stretch for a long period of the game where he just didn't seem as aggressive as I would have liked. And he's got away from that since the trade. Tonight he kind of reverted back to that. Hit a 3 early, and then I didn't see another bucket from him until probably the last 5 minutes of the half. He has to find that consistency. At one point he was 1 for 3 throughout a large part of the first half. You're too good to have 3 shots for a large percentage of any half of any game. Go out there, put your imprint on the game. Let everybody know why you were once considered one of the best power forwards in the game. Just a year or two ago, people were saying they would have taken Karl-Anthony Towns ahead of AD, and it's because of his talent level. Put that talent level on display.
Yes, certainly one thing we talked about before this game with the Boston Celtics is that their defense has not been playing at the level we've seen in the past. What are you seeing differently in this game tonight as far as Timberwolves only have 48 points to break?
Well, when you look at it, really for the Celtics, offensively, they were doing a good job, which got them, balls going through the basket. They can get their defensive, system set up a little bit, try to corral the basketball, which they did a better job. So by making that many threes, by being balanced, they had 16 assists the first half compared to 8 by Minnesota. They're balanced, their ball movement, their spacing. But when the ball's going through the basket, the other team's got to take it out. You can get your defense set a little bit better, which will help your numbers.
Guys, have you heard? Steph Curry's back tonight.
He is? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's paying dividends for the Golden State Warriors against the Detroit Pistons. Curry still leading the league in three-point makes per game. Detroit Pistons got a reminder of that as Steph Curry finds open space. Cash. Unison, you and me, my friend.
The Pistons.
They're ahead in the fourth quarter. We'll update you on that next on the American Express Halftime Report. Karl-Anthony Towns with 2 20-20 games in his last 6. They look to remain hot as he faces the Boston Celtics right here on NBA TV at 8 o'clock. And Gordon Hayward and the Celtics, they've been hitting their stride in their last 4 games as well, where they continue to remain hot. In case you have been tuning in for the past couple of minutes, remember that the Knicks-Bucks, that game in overtime, that's one you might want to get League Pass if you don't have it, or just tune in there. Welcome to the Auto Trader pregame show. Chris Miles here with Brendan Haywood and Vinny Del Negro. The Celtics, T-Wolves take the court at the top of the hour. 2 teams both headed in the right direction. The Timberwolves have won their last 4 straight. The Celtics have won 3 of their last 4. Which team is more impressive to you right now?
Right now, to me, it has to be the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Boston, yeah, they've got some things going, but to me, you take away Jimmy Butler, who was clearly the team's best player. This team has got rid of that distraction in Minnesota. Guys have stepped up. Karl-Anthony Towns has seized leadership of this team the way we wanted him to and the way he couldn't when Jimmy Butler was there. I don't know what was going on. There was some type of rift there, and he couldn't be the best version of himself with Jimmy Butler. He's now playing better. The team is playing better. And also, Derrick Rose. That's the X factor. He has really stepped up. Surprisingly, Coach, he's shooting 48% from three this year, and he's taking close to 4 a game.
He's healthy. Derrick Rose is finally healthy.
Yeah.
He's getting back to attacking the basket. You want to lay off him. Now he's hitting jump shots. He's got wide open threes. He's knocking them down. I want to see Wiggins be more productive. His numbers have to get better, but you have to be impressed with Towns and Derrick Rose's production. He looks happy, Derrick. He's playing fresh. We know how great of a player he is. I'm just happy to see him out there healthy and get some of his explosion back, and that jumper's falling.
Speaking of healthy guys in the backcourt, Kyrie Irving has certainly returned to his form. Look, he's taken almost 20 shots a game as opposed to in October when he was only taking 14. Carrying a heavy load on offense, do you expect him to continue to do that all season?
I think he'll pick his spots. We know he's more than capable. They're best when they have balanced scoring. Once they get Jaylen Brown back, Horford will be back tonight. They're going to figure it out. They just have too much offensive explosion, talent, whatever, not to get their numbers back up. It'll start at the defensive end. They have great versatilities with the same size guys to switch pick and rolls and things. But Kyrie Irving is dynamic. He'll pick his spots. Winning is the most important.
Coach hit it right on the head. Kyrie's very dynamic, and he does pick his spots. He knows he can get his shots at any time. So sometimes you'll see him be not as aggressive on some nights, and he'll wait to the end of the game and then really try to impose his will because he understands that's his time. But the biggest thing right now, they're trying to find what is the proper mix of shot attempts for everybody on this team, not just Kyrie. Like, does Kyrie need to be taking 20 shots or does he need to be taking 17? How do we fit Jason Tatum shots in there? When Rozier comes in, what happens with his shots? Morris, just in general, Jaylen Brown, when he gets back, he's been hurt a little bit lately. Gordon Haywood. So there's so many guys that can do dynamic things with the ball. They're all trying to figure out, where do our shots come from?
Well, the Celtics have not been performing at the same level defensively as they were earlier in the season. They're giving up almost 10 more points per game over their last 7, and I know Jaylen Brown has missed those games as well. But what are you seeing defensively that they're not doing?
Well, they're not as consistent. They're not getting after it. Their body language isn't as good. They've had some injuries. We've talked about those things. But at the end of the day, the stats don't lie. This is where they're at. When you listen to Brendan talk, every player that you mentioned can score.
Right.
So then you look at their offensive numbers, I'm like, well, why aren't they just, when they're struggling, just outscore people? But it's not that easy sometimes. For them, they're a scrappy bunch. They'll grind out if they have to. They have the star players to take over when need be, and Kyrie and things, finding Haywood shots and things. Their numbers are going to change. They're just too talented. They're too well coached. They're too good of a team not to figure it out.
Jaylen Brown, again, has missed the last 2 games. Here's Brad Stevens on Brown.
Didn't get through the whole workout according to our training staff that they had prepared for him to see if he was available to play. Not a huge surprise, so that's why he was listed as doubtful this afternoon, so he's out.
Okay, so Jaylen Brown out. It's going to be harder defensively for the Celtics against a Minnesota team that is 7-2 since that Jimmy Butler trade. We talked about it a little bit earlier, just a little bit. But what has been most impressive about what Minnesota is doing? I know you said Derrick Rose, but Karl-Anthony Towns playing well as well.
Body language. When you watch them, they're just the ball's moving better. They have Derrick and Kat that are playing very high basketball level statistically, but at the end of the day, their body language, their activity, they're moving the ball better, but they have to stay with it. It's a long season. This is just an early sampling of it. Let's see if they continue to do that. And like I said before, Wiggins is going to have to pick his game up statistically to help those guys.
The thing that jumps out to me is just simple. It's the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns is now the official alpha dog. The other night against Brooklyn, team was kind of struggling a little bit. Karl-Anthony Towns, 17 big points in the third quarter to take that game over. That is what we wanted to see from Karl-Anthony Towns the whole time. Since the Jimmy Butler trade, we've seen more of that. His body language, his athleticism, his aggressiveness have all been on display, and now he's playing like a true top-tier NBA player.
You would think, though, with Butler out of there, and you say Towns has elevated his game, literally
elevation.
and figuratively there, Brendan.
Watch out, Millsap.
But not so much with Andrew Wiggins, right? We've seen him struggle a bit to find his game, shooting just 34% from the field in the month of November. I know it's December now, so hopefully those numbers tick up for him. But why do you think that's happening for Andrew Wiggins?
He's got to stay aggressive. He's got to stay the course. The offense is running through Towns and Derrick Rose right now, but Wiggins is kind of the third guy. He's going to have to figure it out. He's only 14 for 46 from three, shooting about 30%. You know, he's got his mid-range game. He's athletic. He can jump over you. He's going to have to figure it out for them, which I expect he will. He's got to be productive at a much higher level. He's too talented not to figure it out, but hey, he's getting the best perimeter defenders punch every night now. It's not going to Jimmy Butler. If you're a coach and you're playing them, your best perimeter guy is going to guard Wiggins. He's going to get the best shot every night defensively.
Coach, you hit it right on the head. That last point is golden. When you're Wiggins and Jimmy Butler's there, you get to play against second-tier, third-tier defenders. Guess what? Your name isn't the top name on the defensive shot chart as far as who we're going to stop. We're going to stop Butler. We're going to stop Karl-Anthony Towns. Now your name is right up there. You're getting a lot more attention. Teams are now game planning specifically for you and what you do well. Wiggins has not responded well early on.
It's interesting to see what's happening in Minnesota as they are ascending, but Andrew Wiggins not ascending with the team. Maybe he'll turn it around as well because we know he's a very talented player, former #1 overall pick. Karl-Anthony Towns playing like a #1 overall pick as he was one as well. They're getting ready to face the Boston Celtics. That's a game you're going to see right here on NBA TV. We'll continue to get you ready for it after this break.